What's up YouTube? Dougie Chong here. Welcome to today's episode where I'll be going over 5 stocks to buy here in February of 2021. Honestly, it's pretty hard to come up with even 5 stocks to buy right now. Everything in the market is just pretty overvalued. So I would caution against putting a lot more money into the market right now if you already have invested a sizable amount. But again, if you're just getting started, you haven't invested anything yet, it's important to just get something in the market. The most important thing is to have time in the market for your investments to grow. It's been a while since I made one of these types of videos, so be sure to leave a like if this video helps you and subscribe if you haven't already. Starting off at the top, we have my personal favorite stock, Amazon. Now the biggest news surrounding Amazon stock is their CEO and founder Jeff Bezos is stepping down. So exactly what does this mean for the company? Usually it is not good when the founder of a company steps away from it. This can be seen from Microsoft when Bill Gates left, but eventually they found a really good CEO and now they're coming up again. But I personally think that Amazon was kind of spreading themselves a little too thin, trying to compete in almost any space available, and their new CEO is the current CEO of Amazon Web Services, Andy Jassy, and so I think he will do a good job to maybe focus them more on their most profitable arm. There have been a lot of anti-Amazon campaigns recently, even here in Toronto. There's a site I think called Not Amazon or something that gives Amazon alternatives across many different industries, but you really cannot beat the shipping and the overall convenience that Amazon provides. Also, Amazon recently had an earnings call in which in the last quarter they beat estimates by almost 100%. This alone would have likely skyrocketed the stock even higher if it weren't for the news of Jeff Bezos stepping down. Also, I'd like to clarify that Jeff Bezos is not leaving the company. He's moving to a different role of executive chairman, so he'll still have a lot of influence over a lot of the big projects at Amazon. He's just not in that CEO role. When you're a CEO, you have a lot of day-to-day activities for managing things, and Jeff Bezos just wants to take more of his time and spend it on other initiatives. If we look at the 6-month price chart, the stock has been rather flat, bouncing from around $3,300 to $3,000. This is the primary reason why I think it is poised for a breakout. Even though it recently jumped from around $1,600 to $3,000, I think it can definitely hit that $4,000 mark pretty soon. The 5-year chart shows the steady growth of Amazon back when it was under $1,000 per share. I remember buying my first shares of Amazon for around that $1,000 mark, and everyone already thought it was expensive back then. So for this stock, the strategy is just buy and pretty much hold forever. One of the biggest mistakes I've done as an investor is selling some of my Amazon shares at around $2,000. I saw it double up. I thought it would dip and then I'd be able to buy back again. But of course, I missed that dip. It's just very hard to time. Amazon is one of those stocks that could be in your portfolio for your entire life. Next up, we have AMD stock, a company that specializes in creating computer components such as graphics cards and central processing units. Of course, with the whole cryptocurrency mining craze, graphics cards are practically flying off of the shelves. Unfortunately for AMD, they do not see a lot of these profits because a lot of the markup is done by the third-party manufacturers such as EVGA, MSI, or Zotac. These third-party manufacturers buy the chips directly from AMD at a fairly set price. AMD is just trying to crank these out as fast as they can, and then these third-party manufacturers put their own fans and lights on the graphics cards. And even retailers like Canada Computers here in Canada mark that price even more. But with the Ethereum price being as high as it is right now, people are still buying these cards like crazy, almost 2 times MSRP. But the thing that really drove AMD's stock price up recently is their CPUs, or central processing units. Recently, a lot of the CPUs created from AMD are performing better than Intel's, and that just hasn't been the case over the last decade. Pretty much Intel was just running on the top, almost running a monopoly here. So because of that, Intel was getting a little lazy. They weren't really innovating that much, but now in the future, I think Intel will be working to create better CPUs. The 5-year chart shows ridiculous growth from around $2 to over $80 here today. And even with such explosive growth, their PE ratio still only sits at 42. Normally, a stock like this would not be able to sustain such a rally, but I think AMD really can. Regrettably, I bought this stock probably over 5 years ago around $4 and sold it all at a slight loss. My timing was just a bit off as the CPU challengers that they had at the time just couldn't compete with Intel. So I guess the biggest lesson and piece of advice I can give for this video is that most of my investing regrets have come from selling a stock too early. Rarely have I held on to a stock and regretted holding it. Only one instance have I held a company until it went completely bankrupt, and I'd much rather see that than see that company go up 100 times when I sold out too early. 2 more reasons why I am super bullish on AMD stock is that the market cap currently sits only at about $100 billion. This is less than what a company like Airbnb is valued at, and they have 0 profits as of now. With a lot of tech companies having valuations in the trillions of dollars these days, there's a lot of room for AMD to grow. Secondly, in the graphics card sector, Nvidia is their only main competitor, and in the CPU sector, it's Intel, so without a lot of competitors, their chances of success are highly increased. Third up, we have Facebook stock. Last year I made a video saying it was a buy around $200, and now it sits here today around $270. In their latest earnings call, similar to Amazon, they outperformed estimates, but their stock didn't really go up all that much because Mark Zuckerberg stated that in the coming quarters or this coming year, the profits aren't going to be quite as much because they're going to be highly scrutinized for their data use policies. Fourth up, we have Hive stock, which I recently purchased for about $2.80 Canadian or about $2.21 USD. This is a blockchain company that mines cryptocurrencies in cheap electricity areas around the world, but they're headquartered in Vancouver, Canada. They set up these mining facilities close to renewable energy sources that have surplus amounts of electricity. They have operations in Canada, Sweden, and Iceland, which are all politically stable countries, which is very important for mining cryptocurrencies. Cheaper electricity rates exist in countries like China or Venezuela, but the government regulations can greatly affect the business models in those countries. I'll leave a link in the description below where I go over Hive stock in more detail, but basically if the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum continue to go up, this company is set to make an absolute fortune. And by then, other players will have come to the space, but again, it's not that quick or easy to set up thousands of miners. If we look at the 5-year chart, it is crazy how the stock is not even at its all-time high. Back in 2017, it was flying over $4 per stock, and both Bitcoin and Ethereum are higher than they were back then. Of course, maybe investors are a bit more cautious this time around, as when Bitcoin and Ethereum crashed, so too did this stock. So this stock is a lot more risky than the previous stocks I mentioned, but I think the reward is well worth the risk. Even if the prices of Bitcoin don't go up and just remain flat, this company will still be profitable, so in that sense, it might even be a better investment than Bitcoin itself. Now on to the final stock, we have another Canadian one in Planet 13. I'm not exactly sure why it is listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange when they are headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada, but maybe it is due to legalization issues. Regardless, I'm pretty happy that it's listed on the Canadian side. Wheat stocks have recently been on an uptick since getting absolutely destroyed after the run-up from the legalization here in Canada. Unlike the business models of Weedstock and ACB, Planet 13 makes their money from selling at dispensaries. I think these dispensaries will be very important going forward in the future because I heard getting the product here in Canada can be a bit of a pain. Furthermore, if marijuana becomes legal across all of the United States, I think that's where the real boom is gonna happen. This company is pretty new and they are not profitable yet. I think the company has risen about 8 times since it went public about 3 years ago. But even with the pandemic going on, the company managed to turn a profit and $22 million in revenue in Q3 of last year. So I think the future of this company is very bright to say the least. But again, like Hive stock, I'm gonna say Planet 13 is a lot riskier of a stock than Amazon, AMD, or Facebook. As a bonus play, I'll mention that the Very Good Food stock is also a stock that is coming down to reasonable levels. It's a great stock to buy if you want to support the vegan food industry. I'll end the video by showing some sells in my public simulated portfolio. I sold the last of my iRobot shares at $116, posting over 100% profits. Holding any longer, I think would have been a bit greedy. My thesis came true and I exited my position. Next, I sold 3M stock at close to $180 per share, up about 25%. I would have liked to keep this stock as more of a diversification play, but the dividend income is really not tracked with this account. So I opted to exit this position and look for more growth opportunities. Of course, I also added some Hive and Planet 13 stocks, which I will show here. That's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it and learned a few things about different stocks. Let me know in the comments below what stocks you guys are interested in buying. Leave a like if this video helped you at all, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out my channel. As always, enjoy the rest of your day and see you in the next video.